Welcome to the lecture series on mechatronics. Today we will have the fifth lecture on module 3 of mechatronics 17ME 754. I am Dr. B. Krishna Prabhu, Professor, Department of Mechanical Engineering, Canara Engineering College. Here we have the content for this particular lecture. So first of all, we will see the basics of ladder programming. Then we see a example of how to control a solenoid using a switch. Then temperature control system, one more example. Then we'll pass on to logic functions and writing ladder programming for logic functions. Then we'll also see a truth table and connecting a truth table to the ladder programming. And finally, we will see a practical example of opening a shop and how to write a ladder programming for opening a shop. First of all, coming to this ladder programming basics. So in the last lecture, we have understood that programming is very essential in order to get the work done by the PLC. Now, if the inputs are coming from the sensors, now what to do with that input that needed to be decided by the PLC. And normally working on those inputs is defined by the programming that is being written for PLCs. So there are many different ways by which programming could be written. Text way of writing program, that is also possible. So like in the case of Arduino, we use text based programming, which is a C++ based system. And one more way of programming PLCs is by writing so-called ladder programming. And that is what we have to see in today's lecture. One of the form of programming commonly used with the PLC is ladder programming. So the term ladder is used over here because whenever we write a programming, so it is basically it is not a text type of textual programming, rather it is a graphical kind of programming. And when the program is seen, the program looks like a ladder. So that is why this programming is called as ladder programming. As we know, in each ladder there are two main supporting beam kind of thing, which has been then connected horizontally by different rungs. So this ladder programming involves each programming task being specified as through a rung. Rung means a horizontal line that connects the two parallel vertical beams that are been put on there. So that is rung or a step of a ladder. So an example could be to specify that the state of a switch A and B, the input. So whenever we say any circuit that needed to be controlled, let us say, always there is a power supply, then there are switches, and then there are outputs, or which often we call as a load. Now in this figure also we can see that there is a power supply written as plus and minus over here. So two terminals of power supply we can see, and then there are two switches, switch called A and switch called B. Two switches are connected, and the circuit also has a load which is specified as a solenoid in this particular case. So solenoid is the load in this particular case. So two terminals for providing the power or power supply. In this circuit we have two switches connected called as A and B, and the load is nothing but the solenoid which is connected over here. So here that is what is mentioned over here. Switch A and B are the inputs. These to be examined, and if A and B are both closed, then a solenoid or the output is energized. Now obviously switch A and B are connected in a series with each other to the power supply as well as load. So as a whole, this circuit is a series circuit. So series circuit is the one which has only one path for the flow of a current. Now if you take a conventional path for the current starts from a positive terminal and it has to reach the negative terminal. In order to do that one, first of all it has to move through switch A, then through switch B, then through the solenoid, and then it has to reach the terminal minus. So then we say that the circuit is complete. And note that there is only one path for the flow of a current. There is no second path. There is only one path. And if there is only one path for the flow of electric current, then such circuits are called as a series circuit. So obviously we know when two switches are connected in series with each other, unless otherwise switch A as well as switch B are closed, the circuit will not be closed. If any one of the two switches are open, or if both the switches are open, then the circuit is an open circuit. And in an open circuit, there is infinite resistance, hence current will not flow. So that is what electrical engineering says. So we can energize this solenoid if and only if both switch B and switch A are closed. So this is the detail about the circuit that we have on the screen. Now this particular figure will tell us something about alternate way of drawing this particular circuit. Alternate way of drawing this circuit. Let us say that the positive that we have over here is this vertical line. Let us say this is the positive, and negative in the figure is this one more vertical line, that is negative. Then this switch A is mentioned over here, switch B is mentioned over here, and the solenoid or the load is mentioned over here as a solenoid, represented as a resistance in the circuit. Okay, so these two vertical lines are called as power rails. So power rails has two components, one is positive power rail, other is a negative power rail, and all other circuit which is connecting this positive rail to negative rail, that is called a rung. This is a rung. So somewhat in a ladder diagram kind of thing, we have modified this circuit A. So circuit B is the modified circuit of a circuit that is shown in figure number A. Right? Now once we have this circuit, it is very easy to draw the ladder diagram. Now let us see how exactly the ladder diagram for this one looks like. So this is how a ladder diagram look like. So figure C is a ladder diagram. As we can very clearly see, figure C and figure B are almost looking alike, right? With the two power rails, this one and this one, and these two power rails are connected with the circuits. And in the circuit, we have two input, this input A, which is nothing but a switch called A, input B, which is nothing but a switch called B. Then we have the output, which is nothing but a solenoid, right? So this is how a basic ladder diagram look like. So this looks very much similar to ladder. That is why such a diagram is called a ladder diagram. Again, note that it is not a textual way of writing, rather it is a graphical way of writing. So ladder diagrams basically are graphical diagrams. So whenever in any automated system, when we have to represent the circuit and how exactly the circuit is working, then normally a program need to be written. And as I already mentioned, the kind of program that we write over here is called as a ladder programming, right? PLC programming based on the use of ladder diagrams involves writing a program in a similar manner to drawing a switching circuit. So the ladder programming, whatever we write, is very much similar to drawing a switching circuit. What is a switching circuit? Switching circuit has a sequence of operations. So first sequence number 1 is executed. After sequence number 2 is executed. Then sequence number 3 is executed. Or in the ladder diagram language, we can say that first of all, rung 1 is executed. Then rung 2 is executed. Then rung 3 is executed. And you know, every part of the circuit is represented in one or the other rung. So that is why executing or working with the whole circuit means executing the circuits that we have in different rungs, or operating with the different circuits that we have in the rung. And every rung represents a program. That is why execution of the programming means executing or getting the work done by a full switching circuit. Now, as I have already mentioned, the ladder diagram consists of two vertical lines, this one and this one, representing the power rails. This may be positive power rail, this may be negative power rail. So circuits are connected as horizontal line. Any circuit you think of, in the previous case we had two switches and one solenoid. The whole circuit needed to be represented as a horizontal line, or it is called a rung of the ladder between these two verticals. So we have power rails, positive and negative, and every circuit is connected as a rung. That is what builds a ladder program. So in the figure, what we are seeing is the standard symbols that are to be used whenever we write a ladder programming. Let us just see what are the symbols that we have or we can use in any ladder diagram. First one is the first one and second one, whatever been mentioned over here, these two are the kind of inputs. These two are the inputs provided, and this is a output symbol that is provided. Now in the input signal there are two varieties. One is this one and other is this one. Now there is a capacitor kind of thing with the two parallel plates written, and if these two parallel plates are not connected by a slant line, then such type of input is normally open circuit. NO, normally open. It means that under normal circumstances it always remain open. So it is a switch which is open. Then there could also be a switch which under normal situation is remaining closed. That is called NC, or normally closed. A normally closed switch is represented as a second figure. A capacitor kind of thing, two parallel plates, but these two parallel plates are connected by a slant line. So that is a normally closed type of input, right? Whereas this one is normally open type of input. Now what will happen if we supply a signal from this particular to this particular switch? So whenever a signal is supplied to normally open switch, it turns closed. And whenever we send a signal to normally closed circuit or normally closed switch, it turns open. And where does the signal come from? That signal normally comes from the PLC. So that PLC sends the signal. So whenever that PLC sends the signal, that is called control signal, this normally open will turn closed, or normally closed will turn open. That is how a switching circuit is controlled. And this switching circuit of course is connected to the load or the output, and output is represented something like this one, a open type of a circle, like this. Now any rectangle could be represented in a ladder diagram, and that represents special instructions that to be mentioned in the program. In drawing the circuit line for a rung, inputs must always precede output. So first of all, whenever we are drawing a rung, first of all inputs needed to be mentioned, and after mentioning all inputs that are connected in that particular rung, only then output needed to be made. Or in other words, solenoid should come next. First the switches A and B need to come. So first represent switch A, switch B, then the output or the solenoid. It should not be like first of all you write the input followed by then inputs. No, first of all you always have to write inputs, then only you have to write the output. And there must be at least one output in each line. So every rung must have mandatorily one output. Each rung must start with an input or a series of inputs and end with the output. So first of all the inputs have to come, only then the output has to come. Now here we have one good example for the ladder programming that is being written. In this figure we have two power rails as represented vertical lines. This is rung number 1, rung number 2, rung number 3 and rung number 4. There are 4 rungs, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 rungs that are connected in this particular ladder programming, and they are connecting the positive rung to negative, positive power rail to negative power rail, right? So let us just try to understand one by one. Here we have the output A occurs when input 1 occurs. That is what written here. Output A occurs when input 1 occurs. So input 1 is not occurring. Means what? That is the normal situation, normal condition. Now if you check up the kind of switch that is connected over there for input 1, it is a normally open kind of input. Normally open kind of input. When normally open kind of switch is connected, then the circuit is open. Current will not flow through the circuit from positive power rail to negative power. It will not move. So if it is not flowing, then output A will not occur. So whatever actuator that we have connected to output A, it will not function. Why? Because power is or current is not coming to the output. Now what should we do in order to get the current at the output and the device work? To do that one, first of all we have to close the circuit. If we close the circuit, then current flows from positive power rail, then through the switch to the output and then to the negative power rail. When that happens, the output actually occurs. Now note that in order for output to occur, normally open switch must be closed. Then question is how to close that normally open switch. In order to close that particular normally open switch, we have to send a signal. So normally PLC sends a signal. So whenever PLC sends a signal to this input 1, which is normally open, it closes. Then we say that input 1 has happened or occurred. When input 1 occurs, output A also occurs. So that is what the meaning of output A occurs when input 1 occurs. Right? Now let us see what do we have in the second rung. In the second rung, as we can see, we have a series circuit to which 2 inputs are connected, input 1 and input 3, and there is one output called output B. right? Now note that input 1 is normally open, input 3 also normally open. So two normally open switches are connected in series with that of a output called output B. So what has been written here? Output B occurs when input 1 and, so written is and input 3 occurs. So unless otherwise both these inputs, input 1 and input 3 doesn't occur, unless otherwise these two things occur, output B also doesn't happen. So for output B to occur, both input 1 and input 3 must occur. If any one of the input occurs, no, then output B does not occur. Both input 1 and input 3 must occur for output B to occur. So send a signal to input 1, at the same time send the signal to input 3 as well. Sending inputs to input 1 and input 3 will change them into closed circuit. When both of them are closed, then current flows through the output B and output B occurs. So output B occurs when input 1 and input 3 occurs. So that is the second. Now note that we have a third rung as well over here, which has two inputs, but note that they are connected in parallel with each other. So input 4 is in parallel with input 5, and those two inputs are connected in series to the output C. Right? So what is written? Output C occurs when input 4 or, it is written or, not and, or input 5 occurs. So which clearly means that if any one of the two inputs, input 4 or input 5 occurs, then output C occurs. Now let us say that input 4 occurs whereas input 5 does not occur. If input 4 occurs, then path of current will be from here to input 4, then to the output C, and then to the negative power drain. So output occurs. If input 4 is not occurring, but input 5 is occurring, then path of the current will be from positive power rail to input 5, then goes up over here, then goes to output C and reaches the other side, which means that if input 4 is not occurring and if input 5 is occurring, then also output occurs. So if any one of the two inputs occur, then output occurs. Okay, and last rung is a special instruction, and that special instruction is end, which means that the program terminates over there or ends over there. Now to some extent we have understood the very basics of ladder programming. Let us just see how to control a solenoid using a switch. So switch controlling a solenoid. So consider a situation where the output from the PLC is to energize a solenoid. So job given to PLC is to energize the solenoid. Now what is the condition? Condition given is that when a normally open start switch connected to the input is activated. So it means that one normally open NO type of start switch is connected to the solenoid, and that particular switch must be energized. So let us see the circuit. So here we have the circuit. Here is the PLC, and here is the switch acting as input, and here at the output we have connected the solenoid. And again note that in the PLC there are certain addresses are written. So this X, in the previous lecture we have observed that X, whenever it is written in a Motorola convention, it is input, and that input is connected to a address 400. So X400 is the input where the switch is connected. Then there is a power supply as well, which is a 24 volt power supply, 24 volts power supply. Then solenoid is connected to the output. Address is Y. Y clearly stands that it is a output 430. 430 is the address. So Y430 means that a solenoid is connected to the output. X400 means that a switch is connected to the input. So two components, one switch and one solenoid is connected in the circuit. So this is the program that has been written. This is the ladder program that we can write for this one, which explains us how exactly things are connected with each other. So if we are using a software for writing the ladder diagram, like say there are many softwares available. Codesys is one such software which is helpful in writing the ladder programming or ladder diagrams. So if we use a Codesys software, then this is precisely what needed to be drawn over there using the different tools available. Okay, so first of all, two power rails. Then this is the rung number 1. In the rung number 1 we have a switch. So switch is been connected over here, and that switch is a normally open kind of switch, very clearly mentioned in the problem. So it is a normally open type of switch, and from this PLC diagram we can understand that the switch is connected to X400 and input should come first and then the output. So first of all, input is coming over here. X400 is the address of this particular switch. Then input is over. There is only one input device and there is one output coming, and that output needed to be coming after the input. So output is nothing but a solenoid. Whatever may be the output, it needed to be represented only like this always. And that output is connected to Y430. So just write Y430 above that one. That is the address of this particular device, which is the output device. Then second rung end. So this is how things work. So whenever PLC sends a input to X400, whenever this switch is on, whenever this switch is turned on, then this output solenoid operates. That is how it goes. Next, let us see one more example. So this is the temperature control system that we are talking about, and let us just see how to write a ladder diagram for this one. But before going to that one, let us see how exactly this temperature control system must work. In this system, the input goes from low to high. The input goes from low to high when the temperature sensor reaches the set value. So it means that, this is a heating system wherein the temperature is continuously rising. Temperature is continuously rising, and there is a critical value or the set temperature value, and once the temperature of the room reaches that set temperature value, then the input goes from low to high. Till then, input remains low. Once the set temperature is reached, then the input turns to high. The output is then to go from on to off. Output has to go from on to off now. It means that no further heating has to happen once the set temperature is reached. Right? So that is the problem. Now in order to do that one, the circuit that we are using is this one. It is a PLC based system itself, wherein to the output a heating element is connected, and then there is also a relay which is being connected over here, because we know that once the temperature reaches the set value, then the output should go from on to off. Then this relay switches to off. right? And this is the input system where you can see a Wheatstone bridge having a thermistor, and thermistors are used for sensing the temperature, because we have to see whether the temperature has reached the set temperature or not. And when set temperature is reached, then one signal needed to be sent to X400. That will be the input signal for the PLC. Then PLC has to control this Y430, that is the output. That is, it has to turn this one from on to off once set temperature is reached. So anyways, let us read what has been written over there. The temperature sensor shown in the figure is a thermistor, thermally sensitive resistor. It is a thermistor. Temperature sensor is thermistor, connected in a bridge arrangement. So this is the bridge circuit, normally called as Wheatstone bridge, as a comparator. So it is comparing the two arms of the Wheatstone bridge. When the resistance matches in both the arms, then it will send the signal to the PLC. And the thermistor sensed resistance changes whenever temperature fluctuates or changes in the output. The program, that is figure B, shows, let us see the program. So here we have the program. Note that whenever there is no signal, this heating element must work. That is why we are having a normally closed switch. Normally closed because under normal situation this heater must work, heating element must work. It must be, the power must be supplied to this heating element, right? So when normally closed switch is connected in the circuit, the output is always there. So Y430 is available. Then temperature, let us say, keeps on increasing, and thermistor keeps on sensing the temperature. Once the set temperature reaches, then the resistance matches in the Wheatstone bridge, and that sends a signal to X400 through a operational amplifier, that is this one, op-amp. That signal reaches over here. The signal has reached over here means what? Means that this normally closed switch turns open. It becomes open now. Once this becomes open, there is no further supply of current taking place to output or the heating element. Hence, heating element stops. So this is how a temperature control system, as described in the problem, works. So let us complete this by reading this rest of the part. The program, that is figure B, that is this one, shows the input as a normally closed pair of contacts. It is a normally closed pair of contacts. So giving the on signal and hence an output. That gives a on signal and hence output Y430 works. When the contacts are opened, that is when the thermistor actually balances the bridge and sends a signal to X400, when the contacts are open. So when the contacts are open to give the off signal, then the output is switched off. Then this output is switched off. So this is how a temperature control system works. Now let us pass on to some of the simplest logical functions that many of you people have studied in previous semesters in probably basic electronics or somewhere, right? The logic functions always start with the AND function. So how exactly AND function and logical operator works, that could be described through a truth table. And a truth table is a table that incorporates all inputs and all outputs, right? So let us see what exactly this AND operation is. AND operation here has two inputs. First input is A and other input is B, and it has one output, and that output is Y, which is equal to A into B, or A multiplied by B. So AND operation is very much similar to multiplication. When input A is not there or 0, when input B is also not there, which is nothing but 0, 0 multiplied by 0 is equal to 0. That is why output is 0. There is no output. Now when input A is not there, but when input B is there, although input B is there, output is 0, because 1 multiplied by 0 is equal to 0. Similarly, A input is there, B input is not there, at the same time output is not there. So output we can obtain when both inputs B and A are available. When A is high, B is high, only then the output is also high. So this is what a AND operation is. Let us see how to connect that one to a ladder diagram. So A and B are two inputs. So they are normally open inputs. So we have two inputs, A and B, normally open. Note that in order to have a AND circuit, they must be connected in series with each other. So A and B are connected in series with each other to the output, which is nothing but a solenoid. So this is the circuit equivalent, and this is the ladder diagram. So normally open input 1, normally open input 2, solenoid as a output. So when input 1 is off, input 2 is off, output is off. 0, 0 equal to 0. That is this one, first line. Second one, A is 0, B is 1, still 0. So input 1 is 0, input 2 is available. When input 2 is available, this turns out to open circuit. I mean closed circuit. So this becomes closed. Although this is closed, because input 1 is open, there is no flow of current, that is why no output. Same is the situation when input 1 is there, or switch number A is closed. But when switch A and switch B, both the inputs are available, then switch A and switch B turns closed. When we have both the switches closed, then the current flows and we will get the output. So that is why we can say that an AND operation is nothing but two switches, two normally open switches, A and B, connected in a series with each other. Now let us see how exactly OR functions. Now OR is nothing but either of the two, either A or B. That is what the meaning. If A or B are on, then output is on. So that could be very clearly seen in this truth table. When both of them are 0, output is 0. When any one of the two inputs, either A or B, is available, then output is high. So in this case B is high, in this case A is high, that is why the output is high. Or if both of the inputs are high, 1 and 1, then we will get a high output. Output is available. So let us see how to have an equivalent circuit and then a ladder diagram. The equivalent circuit for this one is input A and input B are two normally open keys or switches that are connected in parallel to each other. In AND operation, they are connected in series with each other. In OR operation, they are connected in parallel with each other and then to the solenoid. So there are two normally open switches, input 1 and input 2, connected in parallel, and that is connected to output. So when both the inputs are 0, of course output is 0. When both inputs are 1, then also output is 1. But if any one of the input is high, then one of the two switches turns circuit closed, and that particular switch conducts the current from the input to the output, hence output works. That is how this particular circuit operates. Next, NOR operation. It is a OR in combination with the NOT. So, or it is called inverted OR gate. So we have a OR gate that we have seen previously. Just connect a NOT. If we connect NOT, what is going to happen? 0. If output of OR is 0, then that 0 is represented as 1. If output of OR is 1, then it is represented as a 0 because of a NOT gate or inverted gate. So this is how it is represented with the hash in the top. A plus B is what OR operation is. A line over there, hash over there means that it is a NOT operation. So 0 and 0, OR operation is 0, but NOR operation is 1. And all other places in OR gate we will get 1. Because it is NOR, we are getting 0 over here. So the output of two inputs will be 1, 0, 0, 0. Whereas if it is OR gate, it will be 0, 1, 1, 1. Right? Let us see how to have a logic circuit for this one. So this is the equivalent circuit. So only thing is that this A and B are normally closed. For OR it was normally open, now it is normally closed. It means that even when input is not there, even when input 2 is not there, output is still there because they are normally closed. So current can easily flow from a positive power rail to the negative power rail because both these switches are normally closed. That is what we will see. Even if input A is not there, input B is also not there, still we have the output. Still we have the output. But there is one more difference. One should note that OR operation A and B are connected in parallel. They are normally open but connected in parallel. But in the NOR gate, they are connected in series. And the series we have a normally closed and not normally open. So normally closed are connected in series in the NOR gate. Normally open are connected in parallel in OR gate. That is the difference one should know. So if input 1, input 2 are not there, 0 and 0, output is still there. But problem comes when any one of the input is available or both the inputs are available. When any one of the input is available, this is 1 here, this is 1 here, both of them are 1 here, then output is 0. If input 1 is available, this is open, current will not flow. If input 2 is there, this is open, again current will not flow because they are connected in a series with each other. So this is how a NOR gate operates. Next we will pass on to NAND operation. It is the inverted AND operation. AND is a merely multiplication, and after multiplication invert it, we will get a NAND operation. So let us just see the truth table. So when input A is 0, input B is 0, if it is AND, we should get output as 0. But because this is NAND, we are getting output as 1. If any one of the two input is available, output is still 0 in the case of AND, but because it is a NAND, it is inverted to 1. So when any one of the input is available, then output is available. So how can we read this one? When the inputs are not available, or when any one of the two inputs are available, this one, then output is available. When both the inputs are available, output is not available. Output is 0. So that is what a meaning of this one. And let us see how to have this particular circuit. Again, because this is NAND, we are having two normally closed switches. Again note that in AND we have connected it in series. Normally open we have connected in series, but in a NAND normally closed are connected in parallel, in parallel with each other. So let us see how it works. Now let us say that both these inputs are not available, that is A is 0, B is 0. Because both of them are closed circuits, then output is available. That is why output works, and we'll get 1 over here. If any one of the input is available, for example, if input 1 is available, this turns open, current will not flow through this one, but current will flow through other branch, that is input 2. So current flows through this one and completes the circuit. If input 2 is available, but input 1 is not available, then this is closed, this is open. So through input 1 it flows and output is available. When both the inputs are available, both of them turns open. So that is why current will not find any path from which it can flow and get the output. So that is why output is 0 when both the inputs are high. So this is how the NAND gate works. So we have seen the ladder, the truth table of a logical operation, followed by circuit equivalent, and then the ladder diagram. These are some of the things that we have checked. So then exclusive OR gate, which is often called as a XOR gate, right? XOR gate. So in XOR gate, let us see the truth table. When both inputs are 0, output is also 0. This is very much similar to OR gate. When any one of the two inputs are available, output is 1, that is available, that is again OR gate. But here is the difference. When both the inputs are available, if it is OR gate, then output must be available. But because it is XOR gate, now output is not available over here. This is the only one change that we find in XOR gate when compared to OR gate. In OR gate, 1 1 will give us 1, whereas in XOR gate, 1 1 will give us a 0. Rest of the things remain the same. So let us just see how to draw the circuit over here, and this is the ladder program for a XOR gate or exclusive OR gate. Now note that there are 4 switches used, and each branch has one normally open and one normally closed. Again here, one normally closed and one normally open, right? Now don't be under the impression that there are 4 inputs. No, there are only 2 inputs, input 1 and input 2. But in order to have XOR operation, we need 4 switches, out of which 2 are normally open and 2 are normally closed. And see how exactly it is been connected. Here input 1 is normally open, here input is normally closed. Converse is true in this branch, that is input 1 is normally closed here and input 2 is normally open over here, right? So let us just compare the truth table and how it works. When A and B are 0, that is input 1 is not available, input 2 is not available. That is why in this particular branch input 1 is open, no flow of current. On this branch input 2 is open, that is why no current flow on this particular branch. So output is 0. When B, that is input 2 is available, this particular normally open circuit will turn closed and this one will turn open. That is why there is no flow from this particular branch, because both of them are open. Whereas over here, input 1 is already normally closed, input 2 turns this particular switch closed. So that is why both of them are closed, hence current flows and we'll get the output. Same thing happens to this particular branch whenever input 1 is available. So this turns closed and current flows through this branch. That is the situation 3. Now let us see the situation which is different in different when compared to OR gate. That is condition 4. Input 1 and input 2 both are available. When input 1 and input 2 are both are available, this turns closed, this turns open. So one of the switch in series is open, that is why there is no output. Same thing happens even in the second branch, that is this turns open, this turns closed. Input 1 has turned open, that is why there is no flow of current. So when both inputs, input 1 and input 2 are available, one of the switch A or B is turning open, hence there is no output. So that is why we get 0 over here. So this is how XOR condition works. Now till now we have compared a truth table to a ladder program. Now let us consider a situation where normally open switch A is activated. Normally open switch A is activated and either of two other normally open. So we are giving a problem statement over here. So there are three switches, switch number A, switch number B and switch number C. And the condition told is that consider a situation where a normally open switch A is activated. Normally open switch is activated. Then it turns closed. And either of the two other normally open. B and C are also normally open. And one of the two switches are again activated with the switch A. Now when that happens, it must be activated for a coil to be energized. Then when that happens, the coil must get energized. So what is the situation? We must have three switches A, B, C. Whenever we activate A and any one of the two switches, either B or C, then the output coil connected must be energized. This is the condition given and we have to write a truth table for this one. So in the truth table there must be three inputs A, B and C. Then there must be one output, that is energizing the coil or not energizing the coil, that is the output. And this particular truth table must have all the conditions on A, B, C and it has to tell us something about energization of the coil. So that is what needed. So just pause this particular video and try to write the truth table for this problem, and maybe once you complete drawing the truth table, you can forward this video and see the answer. Okay, here is the problem. Three switches A, B, C, either A or any one of the two, B or C, must be activated in order to energize the coil. So let us see how exactly the circuit look like. So circuit looks like this one, A, B and C. Note that any one of the two, either B or C, must be energized in order to get the output. That is why B and C are connected in a parallel branch. So B is in parallel with C. Then A is connected normally in a series with this particular branch of B and C. Right? And note that as given over here, all the three are normally open. A, B, C are normally open and a solenoid is connected to the output. So this is the equivalent ladder diagram. So input 1, input 2, input 3 and the out. So now we have to write a ladder diagram for the operation of this one, telling very clearly that when the signal is given to the input 1 or any one of the two, input 2 or input 3, now the coil must be energized. Let us see the truth table. So here is the truth table. When none of the inputs are available, it is not energized. Coil is not energized. When any one of the three coils, either A or B or C, when either A, B or C, in these three cases, case number this one, second, third and fifth, those are the three cases when any one of the three coils are being energized. Even then output is not available. Now coil number A is not energized, but other two coils are energized, B and C, then also there is no output. So for energizing the output coil, basic or preliminary condition is that A must be energized. If A is not energized, output is not energized. If A is not available, output is not energized. So then possibility are these four where A is energized. Here A is energized. Second condition is not satisfied, that is any one of the two or both of them are not energized. So that is why output is 0. Now in this condition, condition number 6, 7 and 8, note that A is energized, so first condition is satisfied, A is on. Here any one of the two, that is in this particular case C is activated, in this case B is activated, in this case both B and C are activated. That is why output is available, output is energized, or coil is energized. So that is why this circuit that we have given previously, for which we have drawn an equivalent truth table works, or the circuit works as per the statement of the problem. So this is how we can draw the truth table for a operation. So last part of this session is a condition wherein it is said that we have to have a automatic system which helps us in opening the door of a shop. So this is we have a shopkeeper and he has to open the shop first, and once the shop is open, then whenever customer comes closer to the door, then door must open. So this is normally seen in any shopping malls nowadays. Whenever customer arrives, door automatically opens. But there are two conditions. First condition is that the shop must be open. If the shop is closed and if a customer comes, then the door must not open because shop is closed. So first condition is this door must open whenever shop is open, right? Second condition is that whenever a customer is coming closer to the door, door must get opened. So condition is shop must be open. When shop is open, the door must get opened whenever customer arrives. So consider the requirement for there to be an output to the solenoid controlling the valve that will open the shop door when the shopkeeper has closed a switch to open. He has closed a switch. That means that shopkeeper has to first of all close a switch. That very clearly tells that shop is open now. When that particular switch is not closed, not on, then actually shop is closed. That is why even if customer comes, nothing happens. And a customer approaches the door and is detected by a sensor which then gives a high signal. So when a customer approaches, there is a sensor which is connected, it gives a high signal. When that high signal is available, then the shop door must open. So this is the problem. And here is a equivalent circuit for PLC. Now there must be two switches. One is this one and other is this one. So those are the two inputs. First input is that the shop is open. That is the shopkeeper is switching his switch on. Second one is the customer is arriving. That is the input. When customer is arriving, a sensor must catch him and open the door. Right? So those are the two input. Output, of course, is the solenoid which is connected to the door. So here is equivalent circuit, which is nothing but a merely a AND operation. So input 1 and input 2 when available, then output is available. When input 1, when the shopkeeper has turned his switch on, that is input 1. When customer is arriving, that is input 2, then solenoid is activated. So this is the solution for the problem that has been mentioned over there. Again, this is the truth table. As you can see, when input 1 is on, that is when shop is open. When input 2 is on, that is customer approaching the sensor, then the solenoid output is on. In all other cases, it is off. I hope whatever we have discussed in this last 1 hour or so is clear to all the viewers. Thank you very much for joining this particular session, and I hope you enjoyed this lecture number 4 in mechatronics series. Thank you very much for joining again.